Hey, assalamu alaikum. So today I am going to be talking about why I don't check investments regularly, every day, probably checking about once every quarter. And yeah, just people think that you have to be very active with your investments, have to check them all the time and, see how your stocks and stuff are doing. And this podcast, I am going to say why I believe that is wrong. So, for those that are new here, welcome to Simple Muslim Money, which is all about simple halal investing and finance for Muslims. Now, just a quick disclaimer, this is not investment advice. This is just my own personal experience and purely for entertainment and information purposes. So, yeah, just want to get that out of the way. Now, one thing I want to start off by saying is this is a common thing that I've kind of seen a lot, which is that I've heard, I can't remember where I've heard it from quite a few places, quite a few sort of personal finance things that I've sort of read, which is that the best investors are two types. And the first type is people that have died. So literally they had money invested and it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And another one is people that have forgot that they had invested. And I can't remember exactly where I read it. I've read it in quite a lot of places. And yeah, so that makes you think, why is that? What does that actually mean? And that basically means just leave your money in there and just let it grow. Now, I don't check my investments regularly. What I do regularly is I kind of invest regularly. So I make sure there's money going in there. It's a small amount or however much I can. I make sure it kind of goes there and I kind of leave it in there for the long term. That is my plan. And I know it's going to go up and down and things like that, but in the long term, generally, it should be going up. And yeah, most of the time it has been. And yeah, I'm talking about probably at least 10 years. So that is my plan to kind of build up some wealth and some retirement sort of earnings in there. And yeah, I don't check it regularly. I probably check it maybe once every quarter. Sometimes I don't even do that. It's probably like once every sort of 6 months. What I do check is that I am actually investing and money is actually kind of going in there. Now, one of the big things I want to talk about, which I'm sure probably a lot of people know, is to kind of like not to look at the news. Um, when you look at the news, it's constantly telling, oh, this share's gone down by 10%, this has gone by 5% at the moment now. So we're in like November 2022. There's lots of talk about recession and things like that. And the cost of living is going up, things are costing more and stuff like that. And that is very true. And that is because of inflation and just because of a lot of things happening at the moment in the world. But, the news they kind of give you is very sort of lightweight. The news you see in your everyday news, whether that's BBC or CNBC Money and stuff, it doesn't go into any sort of detail. It's all very kind of lightweight and wishy-washy and stuff like that, And you have to understand that the news that it gives you is like, a lot of the time it's just there to just make money for ads, and it's very sensationalism. Is to kind of get you scared and worried and things like that. It's all about getting viewers for a lot of channels. The more viewers they have, then the more can sell to ads. And by watching these news programs, you think you have to react, you have to sell stuff, you have to buy stuff, constantly do things like that. And that is just not the case. The best thing that performs is actually by keeping things simple, just leaving your money in there and just letting it grow. Now, I'm not saying, when I say leaving your money in there, I want to be very clear about this. I'm not saying that you just buy any old stocks and share and just leave it and just let it grow and just, it will do really well. And, you might get lucky. You might buy Tesla shares and that would do like amazing well for you. That is not necessarily what I'm talking about. Actually, that is definitely not what I'm talking about. What I'm predominantly talking about, what I like to invest in, which is the index funds, which are kind of diversified by nature, just kind of invest across a range of companies. That I'm talking about over hundreds of companies that are kind of Sharia compliant. And, it's performed really well. It's been, index funds are kind of done well for ages now. And very Warren Buffett, who's probably like the greatest investor ever, just is like, most people should just do that. Basically, like, hardly anyone's going to beat that. Only a few do. Like 95% of people will never beat that. And when I say 95% of people, I'm talking about fund managers, so-called finance experts and things like that. Because, a lot of the stuff they do is, it's based on speculation and this, that, and the other, and like with calculations and things like that. So, for your person like us, well, probably most people should have money invested in a index fund because it does so well. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you put every single penny in there, but I would say like most of my money is in index fund, and then I have a bit of money left over that I pop into other things and just to kind of see how it goes. So whether that is crypto or just some other sort of um, investments. Now, what I want to say is that just to highlight, it's not about fiddling with your money and just messing about with it. And when you see about stocks and shares and things like that, it's certainly I did as well. You see the films or TV shows, it's people buying and selling, and you see these graphs going up and down and things like that. And that doesn't really kind of mean anything. It's really, stuff is going up, stuff is going down. But, for most people is, that's just like a blip, basically. It's just news for one day. We're talking about what the long-term things going on. And index funds will kind of readjust automatically. So if a company goes bust or company doesn't do well, we just drop out of the index and they'll just fill it with another company instead. So it's like a really great way to invest. And, and watching the news and things like that and reacting is it's not a good way to do it. It is very counterintuitive to think that the simple way actually kind of performs better in the long term. And, don't get me wrong, you do get some people that might have got like super, super lucky or they did something. But I mean, that is very rare. That is very few people. You're not going to get information, like secret information that's going to beat everyone else. It's very unlikely. So especially for most people, if you've got some special access, potentially that might be the case. But, definitely I think for most people, that is, not the case at all. And another thing that I want to talk about is, people being sort of emotional as well. It's very easy to get emotional, and that's how like a lot of these stock companies and brokerage houses and places that make their money, these investment platforms as well. Every time you kind of buy shares and stuff, they charge a bit of a fee. They love it when people are buying and selling. It's really good for them. They make good money and stuff like that. And they don't like the people that just leave the money, keep it in their safe. So that's where it kind of sort of comes from as well. And some people like this kind of buying and selling. It feels quite exciting. It feels a bit like gambling. Of course, I know gambling is not halal sort of for Muslims, but I'm just saying they like that excitement of playing with their money as well, which is really not good because, it's going to mean that I'll end up losing most of my money and things like that because, I won't be able to perform better than the index fund. Very unlikely to do that. So it's very important to kind of fight that urge. So I just wanted to put it out there. Investing can be simple and should be simple, in my opinion, because that's what it performs the best. And, it goes against these kind of emotional things that we have inside of us, just buying things here, there, and everywhere, not, getting caught up in the tide and listening to the news. And another couple of things actually, before I go, that I'd like to just highlight is these things, kind of these psychological biases that we have as humans, and something I've read about. I know it's not definitely it's a definite thing. And when I tell you about it, it will make sense. It's not something woo-woo that's just kind of made out. But there's like quite a few of them. There's one is like the sunken cost finance. So say you've bought something like a share. So you've put in, I don't know, a few £1,000s into it. And then you're like, wow, okay. And it keeps dropping money. You're like, okay, let me just put a bit more money in because, I've already put in £2,000 and, let me hope for it to go up. That does not make sense at all. But it's definitely a thing that we do psychologically. We're like, I've got this business. I've put in 10,000 in. Let me put another 10,000 in. I'll try and sort it out. But after the first 10,000, we know it's not performing well. It hasn't done well. So might as well just cut things off there and then. It's something that people find hard to do. Another one is confirmation bias. So they're like, okay, I really like that company. I think that company does well. In my opinion, it looks like it's going to do well and stuff like that. So, we put money in and then we put more money in because we think it's going to do well. We've done the research. We feel like we know what is best or, and then, that's another way you could potentially kind of lose money. So just getting biases and emotional things in your own brain can kind of really kind of get in your way. So investing can be simple and actually performs much better when it is simple. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave a like, a follow, all of that sort of good stuff. If you are listening via a podcast platform, please follow. I appreciate that. And I hope to catch you next time. Assalamu alaikum.